Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening. A little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and isn't it Friday? Yes, Friday. It's Friday. I forget what day it is. It is indeed Friday, and it's 7 p.m. It must be AMA. It is. It's not Saturday. Saturday, I cannot do one. I will be with my little girl tomorrow. So I will instead be with you this evening. Yes, I try every week to do an AMA to the best of my ability, because I think that most of you enjoy the idea of just being to ask questions and go back and forth with each other as well as with me, which I appreciate. That this forum, it's very rare. Those of you who are part of this world, part of this community, know it's very rare to find a show that is live that has this much interaction both in the chat and with the host, and not just be oh, the Dems are bad, or oh, the Republicans are bad. And just have a back and forth that I think is kind of interesting. So I'm glad we have that this evening. And I think you're going to like it. And since you do know that, you know what you should do. Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Do that now. Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Do that now. It does matter. If you can, please do so. That cute little button that costs you nothing helps out this channel tremendously. You know that I have to cut my marketing in half for each one. I have a new marketing plan coming up here, hopefully in February, maybe March, depends on how busy I am getting other stuff done. So if we can do that, that would be great. Help me out, because I've cut my marketing in half. Half goes towards my governor, half goes towards this. So my viewership is cut in half too. So yes, it's kind of how it works. So if you guys can jump on board and help out, I would appreciate it. If you can repost this someplace, please do so. If you have not already subscribed and or followed the channel or page you're watching this on, please do so now. Every bit counts. Every little bit counts. Please do so if you would. All right. What I want to bring up today is something that I've been thinking about since two things happened recently. Of course, the new year, but also Zoran Mamdani has been sworn in as the mayor of my city, the mayor of New York City. And he's speaking about socialism, collectivism, things of that sort. And there are many people in today's world who think that socialism is a great idea. I know it. I see it. You see it too. It's all over the place. The issue is most of them don't actually know that what they actually want is not actually socialism. It actually isn't. And I'm going to give you an example of a guy. He's kind of become a little popular here or there with things he's been talking about. He believes he's a socialist and that capitalism is bad. He believes that, but he's wrong. And I'm going to explain why he's actually wrong. Not what he's saying. What he's saying is correct, but his labeling is incorrect. He's talking about what I would call community capitalism. Communities having ownership. People having ownership. What socialists would say is workers having the ownership of the means of production. Yeah, but to have that, you have to have property rights. And what communism doesn't have, and sadly, in most cases, socialism doesn't have, particularly Soviet style, the property rights thing is not important. Tough to have that, what he's looking for, what most modern day socialists are looking for, which is actually property rights. Tough to do that when the government owns everything. That can be very challenging. But let me show you what I mean by this. And it's a couple of chunks I'm going to pull out. This guy, believe it or not, he's just a bicycle shop mechanic. He runs a bicycle shop, and he's a mechanic. And he has a YouTube page where he makes his money off of those two things. He had a very tough spot in his life where everything collapsed, fell apart, and he had to find a way to do it. And he changed his lifestyle, and he became this. And he says, see, the answer is not capitalism, when the actual answer actually is capitalism. But he does not believe that.
Never have. The value of the wage is a capitalist myth. And so
now he starts with this. The value of the wage is a capitalist myth. So he insults capitalism. And the people watching him are like, yay, we hate capitalism because it's bad. Yet he's a bike shop owner. That's how he makes his money. He'll explain it in a second. He owns it himself, which he loves, which he'll explain in a second. And here's the best part. If you look, exit full screen, what is his pinned comment? It is someone who gave him $100. I'm not joking. It's someone who gave him $100. So just to be clear, he says it's a capitalist myth. Well, here's the piece I've been bringing up before, which I bring up often, which is the dollars for time is silly, has been for years, right? the idea of an hourly wage is silly and outdated. And some of you are like, no, Larry, you're incorrect. Hourly wages is what's harming us. It is a bad idea. It makes people unhappy. You pay for something that has no inherent value. My time's valuable. No, it isn't. And it doesn't mean be cruel. Mine isn't either. Do I provide value? If I provide value, that is valuable. But just because I spent time doing something, I don't care. Nobody else cares either. It is a dumb idea, and it shouldn't exist. You should be getting a monthly or weekly fee for the value you produce, whatever that is. That's where the future's going anyway. And he says it. I've been saying this for, and I'm not joking, over a decade. I've been trying in my personal, in my business life, I've been telling people like accountants, lawyers, get off the hourly fees, get on to project fees, get on to dollars for value you're bringing. Don't get on to hours. People don't want to pay hourly. People don't want to pay for your time. They want to pay for the benefit you give them. That's how the world works and has been working for decades. We still think it's 1932 when we're in some factory and the hours I put in matters. That hasn't been true for decades. He's figuring it out now. I figured this out 20 years ago. So this part is accurate. But just because the idea of an hourly wage is silly and outdated doesn't mean the idea of getting money for providing value is dumb. That's what capitalism is all about. And he knows that, but somehow has decided that's something else.
So I became unemployed. Not because I lacked skills, but because I could no longer see the value proposition. Trading a non-renewable source like time for a small slice of the pie felt like a losing strategy.
Yes. Yes. So how could you change that, brother? Do socialism and government owning everything? No. Through local community ownership. That's how you can change that. Through ownership. Yes.
The only way forward for me was profit, not wages.
Did you hear what he just said? The only thing forward for me was profit, not wages. Literally capitalism. Am I making this up? Literally capitalism. So he's literally saying, capitalism is a myth. So what do I want? Capitalism. Who wants people to be employed, particularly by government, getting hourly wages, unionizing everything? It's the socialists. That's what they want. It's the Soviets. That's what they want.
Ownership, not permission.
Ownership, not permission. Brother, where you been? Brother, where you been? Welcome to the Libertarian Party.
I needed a system where my labor built something I controlled, not
You mean property rights. He means property rights, but capitalism bad.
equity for someone else. I rebuilt my life around bicycles because the bicycle is the ultimate machine of human efficiency and autonomy. As children, riding a bicycle is our first real taste of agency and freedom.
Nice.
You get out of it what you put in. But more importantly, it was my unfair advantage in a world that is rapidly vaporizing.
So he literally said, I took advantage of an unfair advantage. Isn't that what the market's about? That's the market. He supports the market. He supports profit, but he's talking about capitalism bad.
Into the cloud. The physical world is one of the few places the algorithms cannot yet fully reach. I fortified my domain here, and I became a bike farmer, cultivating value with my own bare hands. Yep. Despite some happy accidents along the way, the past decade of living a post-labor lifestyle has been
a post-labor lifestyle. This is the future. This is the future.
Been the most fulfilling part of my life. I'm no longer shackled to the capitalist merit system. I've reclaimed my agency.
He goes, the capitalist merit system. I'm no longer, this is what his words. This is how wrong he is. Meaning in his definition, he's no longer to the capitalist merit system. You are literally engaged in the capitalist merit system. Literally engaged in it. I love how in today's world, remember this he is literally, to be very forward, he's educated. He has a college degree. He is an educated, older American, right? I think he used to be in insurance sales, so he's probably credentialed too. And he believes in his heart, he believes that because he went on his own to become an entrepreneur with ownership and property rights, making profit, that he's anti-capitalist. That is today's world. That is today's world. He is literally the poster child for capitalism, saying how bad capitalism is.
See, I'm proud of my work, and for the first time in my life, I feel free.
So capitalism made you free. And capitalism is bad.
Not too bad for a dirtball wrench who couldn't hack it in the boardroom.
Yes, in the boardroom, that's called corporatism. That is crony capitalism. What happens when you have massive socialist answers like Soviet Union and places like that, you have massive government companies and massive governments who are hand in hand with massive companies, creating crony capitalism, which is what you hated. Now, what two parties always do that? Oh, right, yes, Democrats, Republicans, constantly. They are corporatists in every way, shape, and form. What will this guy do? He'll probably vote Democrat because Mom Donnie or something. Now, Mom Donnie just became mayor of New York just yesterday. And in his speech, he talked about collectivism, what Mom Donnie said, versus rugged individualism. That's what Mom Donnie said. He said rugged individualism is bad. He's a democratic socialist. What this dude do? He did rugged individualism, and that made him free and happy, he said. Do you understand how broken this is? This guy's popular. He's got over 100,000 views on this. He's popular. Not crazy about it, but popular. And he's not alone. Many people think this. I hate capitalism. I'm going to start my own farm. That's capitalism. I hate capitalism. I'm going to, have my own YouTube channel. That's capitalism.
Recently, my most successful friends have told me I seem to have really figured it out.
Yes, your successful friends have said, yeah, knucklehead, capitalism is the answer. It makes you free. Yeah.
As if I'm some sort of outlier, which I suppose, looking around,
you're not an outlier. Most people think the way you do. I am trying so bad to change this. Guys, if you want to help me, please share this out someplace. Let people see this. Because if you see his comments, you'll want to cry. Yeah, socialism. Here's $100.
I am. But as I look at the horizon of 2027 and beyond, I realize that my professional past was not just a lesson in failure and resolve. It feels like a premonition.
Yes.
Part 2, the Great Displacement.
Now, this is the part that I'm gonna ignore part 2. But what I've been talking about here is he's talking about what I've been talking about. You want to get around AI? You want to get around the oligarchs running everything? I do. Do you want to make sure that you can be happy in the future? Yes. Absolutely. So this is the answer. Localized ownership, community ownership, individual ownership, all those types of things. This is the answer. All right, I'm gonna grab another chunk of what he says here coming up here, and then just one more chunk, and then we'll be done. If you want to watch the whole thing, I put the link. If you want to watch this whole thing, there is a link in the description. If you want to watch it, it's okay. But the parts that I thought were important were these two.
The new means of production, the AI models, the data centers, the robotics, is concentrated in the hands of a microscopic elite.
True. He's not wrong. And this is my point. How do I deal with this? How do I fix this? I fix this in a very important way. I fix this in a way that allows local people to have ownership in energy, which is capitalism. They can then decide to give and not give the energy to whom they want to give it to. Yes, that's how it works. Yes. Robert says, I disagree with the notion of rugged individualism. I do not believe individual exists, at least not in the way America has sold it and propaganda. You're clearly wrong, Robert. It's not even close. You're clearly wrong. He said it. If you watch this video, he will tell you how he failed and fell down, but he pushed through. Everything he says in his story is literally rugged individualism that then created his own world. Now, does that mean you're only on your own? There's a difference. People often think rugged individualism means I don't really need help. Of course you do. People often need help. Oh, often. I'm out here doing this crazy stuff, trying to run for governor, trying to run the show. I'll do it by myself. There's lots of people who help me out. But as I fail, I keep pushing forward. That's the rugged individualism piece. I could just quit and go, it's too hard. I quit. Where? I could do that. Why won't Mom Donnie write me a check? That's an option I can take. I don't want to take that. I keep pushing forward. I keep pushing forward. As I push forward, many people come with me because I need their help too. I can't do this by myself. But even in that case, the people on my team who do the best are those who do it on their own, who don't wait for me to go, Larry, is this okay? That also helps within our actual piece. Rugged individualism is a critical part. Collectivism, if it's voluntary, and I want to be very clear on that, if it's voluntary, I don't mind. You can be the Amish if you want to. But Mamdani is not talking about voluntary collectivism. He's talking about, oh no, I'm getting rid of rugged individualism. Mamdani's words, not mine. We're going to replace it. His words, he said replace, with collectivism, which means you don't have a choice. Again, if you want to be the Amish, please go ahead. I am not against collectivism as long as it's voluntary. Enjoy. But when people go, no. Yeah, you thought you had, no. That's owned by the community now, not you anymore. That's what Mamdani wants to do and has been doing. We need to change that. And this guy will probably vote for Mamdani, not recognizing this. How do I know that? You guys know I went through on my Larry Sharpe governor page all of Mamdani's policies on his website, every one of them. He's got, I think, 3 shows, I think it was about 4.5 hours total. If you care, please jump on board. There is not one policy, not one, meaning zero policies that say, here is how local people can own things. Zero. Not just that, Mamdani was, after he was sworn in, he went, if I remember right, maybe he was sworn in at a subway station. They were saying, look how beautiful a subway station is. The subway was built by the private sector before it was owned by the city. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Subway was built by the private sector. Wasn't built, I mean, the later ones were, but it was built by the private sector and then taken over by the city because collectivism, it was taken over and now it sucks. So yeah, just thought I might grab that piece. So Lunatic, thank you for the $10, my friend. Humans are programmed to their own detriment. Public education, I blame. That's a very valid point. That's a very valid point. Subcontracting duty to the self, family, and community. I'm a lunatic. Unity can be achieved? ? I don't know. Of course it can. The question is, you don't want unity of thought, right? In the perfect world, in the perfect magical world, you want unity of purpose with diversity of thought, right? That's the magic place that if you can get that with your team, whatever team you have, unity of purpose with diversity of thought. If you can make that happen with someone helping to guide people towards that one goal, whatever that goal is, the odds of you succeeding, whatever you want, shoot up. So can it be achieved? Yes. Is it hard? Of course. And not just that. It isn't something that's achieved and then done, right? I may get it, Lunatic, today and hold on to it for several weeks, and then I begin to lose it again. I've been beating up Trump for this. Trump has not kept his coalition together like he had it. You go back a year ago, everybody was in lockstep. Trump had his team rocking. It was all working together. He had them all together. Now, Trump's more of an iron fist guy, which is fine. That's what you want to do. As you add on, everyone wants to be the supreme leader. Well, Trump was the supreme leader, and he had them all in lockstep. Since he's been sitting in D.C., he don't got him in lockstep anymore. So you got to keep working it. Can it happen? Yes. You got to keep working it. Rick, thank you for $10. It seems to me that socialism is a luxury belief held by people who are far more high society and wealthy than anyone I personally know. Yet they will surely want for me to check my privilege. You're totally correct. Often people who are the most worried about this are people who are literally privileged and want others. People want socialism, Rick, for them. I bring up Medicare all the time. People who want Medicare for all don't want Medicare for all. It's Medicare for y'all. They're going to keep their own private doctors. See, you poors, you guys get that because you're in trouble and you can never get out. You have no chance of getting anywhere because you're poor and you poors are no good. So I'm so loving and caring, Rick, that I'm going to give you poors my crumbs and take the crumbs, my poors, because I'm so wonderful. That's how many of them think. It's very true. I wish it wasn't, but many believe that. I would rather say, hey, people who aren't where you want to be, if you're not where you want to be, let's make it where you can get to where you want to be. That's far better. So I think you're correct. So, all right, let me go a little bit further and we'll wrap this up.
A handful of trillionaires and corporate sovereigns will own all of the abundance on earth. They will.
He's not wrong. Look, one thing I will always give the left credit for is the left is very good at pointing out problems. You may laugh at that, but when you actually point out a real problem that someone is having, they hear you because they go, yeah, I'm feeling that. Yeah. Republicans are bad at that, with the exception in the past. This has changed. Early on, Trump was great at that. Trump was coming out with issues that people really felt. Like he'd say things like, why is this dumb little thing happening? People are like, yeah, that's a dumb thing. I don't like that. And Trump would be like, see, I got you. When Trump was in front of the people hearing that stuff, he'd repeat the problems. And people go, yeah. Most Republicans suck at that. Most Republicans are so busy going, oh, you love the Marine Corps and the troops and America's awesome. They're so busy saying how awesome America is, they don't say what the bad parts are. Now, the Republicans aren't wrong when they say that good things about America. It's true. But they just never say anything bad about America, ever, because that's like their propaganda piece. They can't say things bad about America. But there are bad things that people are hurting. Democrats are the opposite. They can't say anything good about America. They say anything bad, but they're right. And when Donnie said it, people said, yeah. And what made Trump powerful earlier, again, this year or last year, 2025, he has not been good at this. 2024, he was good at it. 2020, he was good at it. Right? He was good at saying, 2016, he was brilliant at it, saying, here are the problems, guys. And Americans were like, yes, you're right. So yeah, Andrea knows Trump needs to be on the road, again, talk to people. Yes. He is not good when he sits. I don't know if you guys don't like Trump, then you should want him to stay in D.C. If you like Trump, you should have him out. I completely agree. He's much better out than he is when he's in.
Control the surplus. The rest of us, the former accountants, the former coders, the former truck drivers, would be relegated to a permanent underclass under constant surveillance.
Now, here's the problem. How will they keep us as a permanent underclass under constant surveillance? He's not wrong. UBI, because that will pacify us. How do you pacify us? UBI. That's how you pacify us.
We are at risk of becoming digital serfs, scraping by in a hyper-competitive gig economy, servicing the whims of the algorithm.
He's not wrong. Again, the left is very good at pointing out problems. This is an accurate worry. We should be concerned.
Dependent on the benevolence of overlords for our survival. This is a future where you might own nothing. This is a future of limited agency. This authoritarian dystopia is the easy path forward for those currently in power. But there's
everything he says is true. That's not wrong. I agree with what he's saying. Yes. So how do we fix that? How do we not go to UBI? How do we not go into this world with as a constant underclass? How do we not do that? I'm saying the answer is what he did. Ownership. That's what he did. Ownership. That's what we should all do. I'm in. At the local level, at the individual level, at the family level, at the municipality level, at the county level. Yes, ownership is the answer. Correct. So what's his answer?
There's a second path that leads towards a post-scarcity renaissance. This is the future where we, the people, recognize that the job was never the point of human existence. The point was always freedom. And the job was merely...
This guy's like a libertarian. Okay. Welcome to the Libertarian Party. Okay, keep going.
The tool we use to achieve it. If the machines can solve the problem of productivity, if they generate abundance, it could leave us free to do the things that actually make us human. We could be
That's
free
possible.
to create, to explore, to care for one another, to build communities, and to learn. We could
That's all possible. I think that's possible. I'm not seeing it now, but I believe that is possible. That's wonderful talk. I like it.
stop
Nice.
working like cogs in a machine and finally use our time to build our own. But this future requires a radical restructuring of our social contract. It requires us to demand a new pro-social political reality.
Oh, see, pro-social political reality. You were on your way there, brother, and then you just messed up. You were doing good. You were. You're like, and freedom and liberty and blah blah. And we got to demand socialism. Okay, this is the worst part. He is now happy. He said so. If you watch the video, he's now happy. He went through a lot of problems, issues, all kind of stuff, and now he's happy with his bikes, shop, and his YouTube channel. And you know what? Good for him. Not mad at him. Good for you. You found your spot. He loves it. He says it in his video. He loves it. Awesome. Was there a pro-social thing when you? No, there wasn't, was there? No. You used rugged individualism, didn't you? Yeah, you did. How come you don't want that for others? Rick, right to your point. He's made it now. So you guys can't because I'm better than you. So I'm going to give you guys crumbs.
This is the one and final test of we the people. To manage this economic transition, we must focus on key policy solutions to
key policies. Okay, I like this. Tell me your policies. Okay, this guy's running for governor. Okay, come on in, brother.
Couple basic survival from employment. Investing heavily in lifelong learning and upskilling programs to transition work.
Programs. Life skill programs. When has government ever done good with life skill programs? I'm going to remember. Oh, right, never. And let me ask you, my friend, what life skill program did you use when you found happiness? Oh, none. In fact, this guy, again, his word, he actually blew off his college degree. College degree was worthless. That's what he said. If you watch his videos, that's what he says. So he's saying establishment training useless. Government didn't make him there. What's his answer? Government programs. Yet he didn't have any. In fact, he's happy now with none of them. He used rugged individualism. Why? Because when people like him get there, this happens all the time. They get there. Yeah, you couldn't. You're not as good as me. Here's the difference. I recognize not all of you are as good looking as me. It's true. I know. It doesn't mean you guys can't be successful. Of course you can. Some of you are more successful than me, even though I'm better looking than you. Some of you are more successful than me. It's totally fine. I'm not pulling the ladder up. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings and we can all do as great as we want to do. That's the issue. Maybe he's happy having a bicycle shop and a YouTube channel. And maybe he's very satisfied with his work and his amount of money. Good for him. Maybe someone else will be happy with a whole lot less. And maybe someone's happy with a whole lot more. And my answer is, you do you. If you want to work 100 hours a week, please work 100 hours a week because you choose to. Work 10 hours a week because you choose to. You want to try to make $1 gazillion? Go on with your bad self. Make $1 gazillion. You're happy making $1,000 a week and you good. You happy as could be. Good. I'm not here to decide what is right for you. You are. You decide. If you want to bust your rump until you drop dead, good on you. I might advise you not to, but it's your life. If you want to lay in your butt all day and not have much, I might advise you not to, but that's your choice. He's made it now, and now he's going to tell you, you poor people, you don't know any better. You need programs. Why do you need programs? He didn't. This is my biggest piece. You will very often hear me talk trash. I do it all the time. But I actually talk the talk and walk the walk, and I don't assume you're an idiot. I don't assume that. I assume that you will figure out your life in the way that you think appropriate. That's what I do. I don't need government programs. He does. But he didn't have any government programs. But he thinks you should have them.
Human-centric fields requiring empathy and complex critical thinking.
See, empathy and complex critical thinking, that's done via government, right? Well, wait a minute. He didn't have that.
Employing models like worker ownership to ensure the public shares in the productivity gains of
worker ownership. Okay, he went someplace good, but then why do you need a program for that? What program you need for that? They have co-ops now. There's co-ops all over the place. You don't need a program for that.
Automation. And immediately during the transition, we implement a safety net, like a sovereign wealth fund or a
sovereign wealth fund. Who's been talking about a sovereign wealth fund? Oh, wait, right, me. True.
Universal basic dividend
So a universal basic dividend. That's way different than UBI. No, it's UBI. So did he have UBI? Did this guy have UBI when he found? No, he didn't. Did this guy have a safety net? In fact, he tells you, if you watch his show, he tells you how he fell to rock bottom and he came back up. He lost his marriage, his kids. This is his story. He says it. He lost his job, everything. He lost it all. Collapsed. What he says. He didn't have UBI. Just somehow he's happy now. Why do you need it? He said, we don't want to have people laying around doing nothing, but you're going to give them UBI so they can lay around and do nothing. Even though you said you didn't do that. This hypocrisy drives me insane. It drives me insane. This guy means well. I know he does. He means well. And most people who think this way actually mean well. They're just so utterly wrong. And they make things worse. People go, yeah, we did UBI. Did you have it? No. We did, it's for you. That's for you people. Not for me. I made it. I'm awesome and cool and like that. You can't be without being as good as me. So do you understand the one, hypocrisy, and the two, the arrogance in this? The arrogance in this. See, you plebes, you people can't be like me. So you need to have government programs. That's what you need. I didn't need that. Well, that's because I'm better than you. That's how these people think. That's how they think. I don't think that way. You've never heard me say that. You people aren't as good as me. You aren't as good looking as me, but that's just because it is. It's fine. But I never said you're not as good as me. I never said that. I said the same thing always. We're all human beings. We're all human beings. And we have different values for each different thing. Some of you would spend $1 gazillion on a car. Some of you would never spend $1 gazillion on a car. And that's not right or wrong. That's you. All right. We'll pull this guy. A couple more seconds and we'll pull this guy off.
Reforming the tax code to recover the public investment in building this technology. Let's take a look at how.
All right. I'm going to get rid of that right there if we could. That's all I'm going to do. I want you guys to see that piece. It just drove me crazy. It's a good thing to start with that. I know that people sometimes get, a little nuts about these things, but let me head up and do my AMA, have some conversations. Before I go there, obviously though, guys, click the button known as like. If you think this is something good for you, you're gaining something out of this, then become a member. Click that join button, $6.99 per month. Puts membership on there. If you would, I appreciate that. If you can, if you have not subscribed or follow the page, please do so. But most importantly, two things. Click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. And of course, make sure that you are sharing this or reposting this someplace else, wherever you possibly can. It really does matter. All right. Let me see what else we got here. Okay. Let me pop up on the comments if I can. All righty. Let's see. Adirang says, Shelly, Larry's in Albany at Druthers on the 8th. I'm working and can't make it. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. Yes, I will be in Albany. If you guys want to see what I'm doing, head over to my Facebook page, the Larry Sharpe, not my personal, the Larry Sharpe governor page. If you head on over there and you'll see what I'm doing next week. Where am I going this week? God, I keep forgetting. I was so insanely crazy busy these last couple of days. As you guys know, running for governor, I was trying my damnedest to raise money before the end of the year. And it was very challenging for myself. I was spending so much time working on that. I was not spending so much time as I should have been spending on other things, which is why I was often late. Excuse me. And trying to fix things. It has been challenging. So let me see if I can go here real fast. Hold on. Looking at my events so I can remember. Yes. All righty. I will be, there we go. I will be at George's in Huntington this Sunday at 2 p.m. So yes, if you can make it there, if you live on Long Island or New York City, take a ride out to Huntington. It's in Suffolk County for those of you who don't know. Head on over there. I'd like to see you there. If you can go, that'd be great. I'll be there at 2 p.m. You can see me chat and yap at George's in Huntington. And then so far I have squared away for my next trip, which is starting the week after. I will be at Druthers Brewing Company in Albany on Thursday at 6. Then at noon, I will be at the Rome VFW in Oneida County. So if you guys want to see me there, that'd be great. Saturday, I will be at the Rustic Loft Pub and Grill in Amsterdam. So a bunch of places I'm going to be heading to. And then that Sunday, I'll be at Hyde's Diner in Cortland and the Greenwich, Greenwich. I'm sorry, this is actually pronounced Greenwich. It's not pronounced Greenwich. It's the Greenwich Vape in Greenwich. So yes, I'll be there also. So if you guys can come by, see me there, that'd be amazing. Every little time you can see me, that'd be wonderful. So, alrighty. You guys want to come by? Come see me. It's great. Alrighty. So let me see if I can grab this if I can. Andrea says he wants to strip wealth from all. True. Yes. Brana says Happy New Year. Happy New Year, my brother. Glad you were out there. I appreciate it. Alrighty. Nosy says community owners will have rights to harvest or save their own honey. I think you mean money, but honey's good too. Yes. This is the point. If we're able to take things that right now we call utilities, energy, hospitals, the things like that, we call that, and stop making it run by the government and instead owned by community. You might go, Larry, community might make a mistake. True. I mean, human beings make mistakes. Yes, that's true. But when government makes a mistake, everyone pays the price. When a community makes a mistake, the community does, and it can be repaired. So yes. Phil, thank you for $2. Black belt in Sharpe dough. Wax on, self-agency. Well, I like that. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Yes, it's true. Look, self-ownership, self-agency is important. It is. Absolutely. All righty. Let's see here. Old McDonald had a server farm. But if the people owned it, they wouldn't care. If the people owned the energy, they wouldn't care because Old McDonald will be buying that energy from the people and they get cash back. Not a bad idea. Yes. Lunatic says, Stephen A. Smith just started a live stream. I'll be right back after I flood his comments. Stephen A. Smith is very charismatic. He can make some impact. He's not very good as a politician yet. I think his if he stays in the field, he may have a future because he's very charismatic, and charisma goes a long way in politics. I don't think he's played the game yet to be able to be talented enough to actually make things happen yet. We'll see. Mike Voss is in house. Modern socialism and communism has hidden the reality of enslavement their ideology always results in. Yep. Well, you don't understand, Mike. That wasn't real communism. That wasn't real socialism. So yeah, the real one isn't that way. It's a fake one. When you get up the program, yes. Or worse, they haven't thought beyond the sales pitch to understand the consequences. This is a critical piece. This guy hasn't. The guy I'm talking about now, that I just showed you now, Mike, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he honestly thinks he's doing the right thing. I think he believes it. He's just completely wrong. That's the issue. He's just completely wrong. So yes. All righty. Missy says, where do you stand politically? Take the free quiz at the Advocates for Self-Government to find out. It's easy, it's quick, and fun. Yes, she's right. And use that specific link if you would. Guys, that link is important because they're my sponsor or one of my sponsors. So if you go to that, take that link, they know you came from me. So take that link that she just showed you. It's also in the description at Facebook, Rumble, and also YouTube. Click that specific link, head over and take this political quiz. Look, 28 million people taking it already. It does matter. Why? Okay, several reasons. One, if you take it and then share it, I cannot stress this enough. Some of you are like, Larry, why do you keep giving me this damn thing? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because you guys aren't taking it and sharing it. I know you're not, because I'm not seeing it being shared. You're saying, oh, Larry's doing his commercial and skip. Stop skipping my commercial. Take the damn thing and I'll stop doing it. So take the test. It takes a couple minutes. I'm here for 2 hours. You can take 2 minutes and do this little quiz and then share it. And then I'm happy. You're happy. Life is good, right? Larry asked for my email. Don't give him the email then. It's fine. Don't complain. Don't give him the email. Just say, check my results. You'll still get it anyway. About the email, you should give me your email. But you don't have to. And then share it. Just do that. It matters. Why? I just talked about self-government. I just talked about community capitalism. So did the guy who you just saw. He's talking about it too. Fixing his own life with his own issues without government intervention. If people don't understand about self-government, culture will not change. And guys like him will be like, I made it, now you deserve programs. I made it, now you deserve programs. Well, if people start realizing, oh no, we can actually solve some of our own problems if the government gets out of our way, if community voluntarily jumps on board. This test helps. Take it, share it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. The advocates for self-government. All righty, move on here if I can. Mike goes on to say, notice the biggest proponents of socialism in first world countries are wealthy or abject poor. Yep. Wealthy virtue signal, poor want to cash in. Both fail to realize they aren't who read women. Both fail to realize they aren't who redistribution benefits. Oh, got you. Yeah. Now, the reality of it is, what they don't understand is when you go into that, what the wealthy understand and what the poor don't understand is when you do this, you just make the wealth gap larger, right? If you start UBI in the world, you're ensuring the top 6 people on the planet control everything. You're ensuring it. So let's not do that and allow people to walk around. So yes. Warner says, 1 of 2. Larry, it's obvious to me that you promote algorithm. So my AMA question is a bit predictable. Okay. 2, were you able to look into Samuel E. Konkin over the holidays? No, dude. I wish I could have. I wish I could have had more free time over the holidays, to tell you the truth. My team knows I have been on the phone almost nonstop, just constantly. I've done nothing except try to figure out what my next steps are for running for governor and raising money. I have not. I appreciate it. Please keep bugging me. One thing that people who know me know, there's no such thing as over communication. Bug me again. I will make it happen. I just couldn't do it now. So, but thank you for that. I appreciate that. Keep going. I don't mind. Rick Boss says, if socialism allows limited private ownership, it's serfdom. Real socialism is slavery, government ownership of the people. Yeah, but here's how they do it, right? The difference between socialism and communism in many cases, in practice, right? Not versus the talk. Socialism sounds amazing. I mean, if you talk it sounds great, right? But in reality, what ends up happening is socialism is local government organizations own or control, and communism, the centralized controls everything, right? That's how it actually winds up working. You do get some localism, socialism. You do get some, but not much. So yeah. All righty. Phil says, I don't think salary was an essential part of capitalism. Wages became so entrenched through union and labor laws. 100% yes. That's literally true, which is why I say FDR was such a bad president. FDR made this worse. FDR was fine with socialism and capitalism. He loved the Soviets. He loved them. He thought the Soviets were great. I'm not making that up. He thought the Soviets were great. Why think he gave them Eastern Europe? Why think he made the connections with Stalin? He sat with them at Yalta. He loved the Soviets. FDR was all about it. He wanted America to be more socialist. He wanted America to be more communist. He loved them. Absolutely. So you are correct. All right. And Lunatic agrees with me. Yes, you are correct. Absolutely. All righty. You're going down that piece. I got that. Talking about stuff. Yes. Nosy says, capitalists would be wonderful if they paid a fair wage. I don't know what that means. Here's the issue, Nosy. So what is, how does someone say, I mean, that's a very, what's a fair wage? You mean a better wage? A good wage? They can pay whatever they want, but does inflation remove that? Right? The idea that the only thing that what will solve everything is if we raise the minimum wage or whatever is the amount you say. I mean, if inflation goes up, who cares? I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to be flippant. But if my loaf of bread now costs $25, I don't care if I make $25 an hour. I can only buy a loaf of bread for every hour I work. It doesn't change anything, right? I have to make sure the system is better, not just the wage. And they say, well, it should match well, how does it do that when taxation is almost double the wage? You want it to be a fair wage? Okay. then you've got to have enough labor that has value. And I'll ask you the same question. I could easily say to you, well, Nosy, when you buy a pair of jeans, why don't you pay a fair price? What do you mean fair price? I want the cheapest price possible. No. Don't, when you go to the supermarket, stop. Stop acting like you want cheapest price. Why are you being mean? Why are you being selfish? Don't do that. These farmers got to make money. So don't pay $2 for the tomato. Pay $4. Pay a fair price. There is no difference in what I just said. You have to pay a fair price. What's wrong with you? You want to pay a fair wage? Pay more for your tomatoes. Why are you selfish? Same concept. If you leave the market alone, which we never do, you find out you get fairer wages and fairer prices. Larry, that's just talk. No, it isn't. Look at Argentina. That's happening in Argentina. It's not perfect, but it's better. You can see it. It's clearly better. We're not doing it in New York, and it's the reverse is happening. When you leave the market alone, the more you leave it alone, the fairer things become. Naturally, that's what happens. Make it New York State, and to be very fair, and I'm gonna push back on this if I can, Nosy. New York State has one of the highest minimum wages in the country. One of the highest, if not first or second. It's very close, if not the highest in the country. Highest. In the top 3 for sure. We have the worst wealth gap in the entire country. Paying a fair wage is some shit that the socialists said. It's not real. It's not the answer. The answer is a systemic change. That dude was right about that. That's why when people ask me, are you going to change the minimum wage? I'm not going to touch it. It's not worth even touching. It's not worth touching. Change the system and we'll be fine. The system is what sucks. So I could say the same thing. Why are you paying $1 for your tomato? Pay $4. Why aren't you paying a fair price? I thought you cared about the wages. How is he going to make up a fair wage if you don't pay $4 for your tomato? Why are you selfish? The more you leave the market alone, the fairer you'll be. It will never be 100% fair. Life is 100% fair, but it will be better. And again, we see it in countries when you leave the market alone, you have fairer pricing. You always do. Phil says the government essentially planned car-focused roads. The interstate highway system and federal guidelines on roads made sure to build roads focused on cars. Walkable neighborhoods are more profitable. There we go. There we go. Mike says, this bike guy is, hold on, regurgitation, academic reimagining of socialism. He never thought about what he was taught, just service level virtue signaling. Sad, really. Yes, he is virtue signaling. He is, that's all he's doing. He's like, see, I made it. So because I made it, I have to virtue signal for you. Because if I don't, then I'm a bad guy. So I'm going to virtue signal and say, you need programs because I care about you. It's virtue signaling. Right in the money, Mike. You're absolutely correct. Ron is like, agree. So he's with me. Yes, totally correct, Mike. That's totally accurate. Ronna says, this guy is the epitome of Facebook morons. I'm going to put on my Reeboks and head to Starbucks with my laptop and tell the world how capitalism sucks. Nicely done. Yes, I'm going to put on my Reeboks, head to Starbucks with my laptop and tell the world how capitalism sucks. True. See, but you guys don't get it. Adirondack gets it. We're going to feel the warmth of collectivism in New York City. I feel it. Mike feels it too. Mom Donnie cares about us. Feels so good. Doesn't that feel good? Yes. Rick Plus says, capitalism is the ability to ditch your employer to create your own business and pursue better pay elsewhere. Everyone's greed should be as good as the greed of the greediest. Yes. Yes, absolutely. 100%. There we go. So D says, does he have a smash capitalism sticker on his MacBook? Yes, he does. Of course he does. Yes. It isn't the thing that to be forward, many libertarians have failed at this. Failed. This is our communication failure. It absolutely is, which is the idea that we have not shown that what people actually hate is cronyism and corporatism. We have not been good at communicating that. We just haven't. And I know libertarians get mad. No, they should know. No, they shouldn't know. We should be better at communicating. And as a group of libertarians, we have been bad at it. We have not. And how do I know? Because this guy, like the data is in. We have not done a good job of this. We just haven't. We have to do better. I'm trying my best to be better at it. I am trying. So yes. So Nosy says, what would Sam Walton have been? A capitalist? Yes. However, yeah, I'll tell you, I love this. I love that. I love how people think, oh, that'll get it. No, you're right. Why? How can Sam Walton, how can he pay so low for what he does? How can he? I'll tell you how. Government handouts. I'm not joking. The government pays for at least half of the medical insurance for them. The government also pays EBT for his employees. The government supports him. That's my entire point. If it were truly a capitalist system, if it actually were, the government wouldn't support him. The government supports him with zoning. To Phil's point, the government supports him with roads made for cars, not mass transit. Of course it does. He is supported by the government in everything he does. That's why. The market wouldn't allow this. The market doesn't allow this. And people think it does. Well, because the market. No, that's not true. He doesn't have to pay his people that much. Why? Because the government supports the people, because of the programs. Because the programs that I talk about, that's why. Imagine there weren't any programs. People wouldn't work for them. Because they wouldn't have anything else. The government supplements them. Here is the biggest problem with many people on the left. And one of the worst of this is Kyle Kalinske. He's the worst at this. In fact, I may start doing some shows just on him. He's so terrible on this. He just goes, this is terrible. And the government's helping. Why are you cutting the government? Why aren't you helping the people out of a situation versus encouraging the government to keep them there? And again, this guy who you just saw, he hit rock bottom and came back up. Yes, he did. He didn't require a program. Some people do. He didn't. The current government programs don't help you up. They keep you where you are. And your example of Walmart is the perfect example. The government's paying for these things, so Sam Walton doesn't have to. He is being propped up by the government. This is corporatism. This is crony capitalism. This doesn't work. So if we didn't have that, we had something timed or where you can move up, something like that, people would have to get raises at Walmart or they wouldn't be able to survive. So they'd have to get raises. So he'd have to give them raises or nobody would go there. But they don't have to. They work for crap salaries and then the government backs up the rest. So Sam Walton says, thank you, government. That's how it actually works. I'm not making that up. You can do your homework and figure out it's true. That's real. That's how it actually works. So anyway, Rick Pa says, monopolies and oligopolies are the enemies of free markets. Yes, capitalism is a choice that cannot abide the absence of choice. True. Absolutely. Going to Robert. Rugged individualism does not mean isolation. True. If I need a piano moved from my four-story apartment, I can ask for volunteers to help and remain individualist. Sure. Or you can just pay for it. You just pay someone to do it. They voluntarily agree. Hey, I have to use my labor to move your piano. What's that worth to you? And if you go, hey, Larry, I'll pay you $100 for my piano. If that's worth it to me, I'll get the $100. I'll move the piano. If it's not, I'll say, no, I need $200 or whatever. I don't know how much it costs to move a piano, whatever, right? Whatever. You're right. You can, as long as people are voluntarily doing it. And look, in certain areas, collectivism is still voluntary. And I go back to the Amish all the time. If we live in an Amish community and I got a piano and people come over to my house and listen to me play piano, and I'm like, hey, I need my piano moved, I can just go to my Amish community and say, hey, you got this in my piano, I need it moved over there. Some Amish dude's going to come over and move my piano. Why? Because that's the voluntary, right? Voluntary social contract that we agreed to. I played the piano for you guys. When I need it moved, you move it. And they went, great. We love your piano. We want you to keep playing. We'll move your piano. No problem. All good. Robert says, to the extent that individual exists, it is usually in determining what communities one wants to integrate themselves into. But humans are social, and so they're best working communities. True. You're not wrong. I agree. Yes. So D says, most Republican talking heads have more of an issue that he puts his hand on the Quran. I know that this is the woke right shit that drives me crazy. Right? I know people think there's no woke right. Yes, there is. And this is woke right. He put his hand in the Quran. So what? Kathy will put in the Bible and she still sucks. Why do I care? That is stuff that means nothing. It means literally, I don't care if he puts it on his ass. I don't care. Is he going to be a good mayor or not? I mean, he's not going to be, but in theory, right? Is he going to be a good mayor or not? I don't care. Put on whatever you want. Put it on top of your head. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't make you a good or a bad mayor. De Blasio was a terrible mayor. He put it on the Bible. That made him good all of a sudden? He put it in the Bible? What do I care? I completely agree, D. That's woke right garbage. That's terrible. And useless and means nothing. That's just, oh man, that's distraction. Who cares? Terrible. So, all righty. Let's see. Nosy says, I've never been paid more than I was worth. Oh, I don't know if that's good or bad. I won't get out of bed for less than $40 an hour or $300 a day. Good for you. I hope you are worth it, my friend. I hope you get more than that. I hope you get more than that. I hope you get $500 a day. I hope you do. That's amazing. I'd like you to get as much as you possibly can. So yes. Let me see. Oh, Robert got to say tonight. Okay. Furthermore, to the extent that individuals are an expression of their families, individual will inherit a reality that was prepared for them by the network they were born into. Yes, but they also have free will. They have both. We are all both. We are all products of both environment and education, right? Both of nature and nurture. Both of us are. All of us are. So yeah, it's true. But it doesn't mean you can't do anything. So yes. All right. Nosy ought to say tonight too. Okay, you guys are busy tonight. When a man can put $3 million in a safe in less than 8 years and pay tax on another $1 million over that 8 years and pay his crew average $125 a day or less, what? When a man can put $3 million in a safe in less than 8 years, I don't know. Am I supposed to know what this is? And pay taxes on another $1 million over that 8 years and pay his crew average of $125 a day or less. That's capitalism. I don't know what this is. Are you saying some guy saved $3 million and didn't pay taxes on it? So some guy is corrupt who didn't pay taxes? Is that what? I don't know where you're going with this. If you're saying there are bad people, yes, and there are bad people when there's socialism too. Look at Eastern Europe now. Heavily socialistic in the past. A lot of the legacy of that is still there. And it's one of the most corrupt areas on the planet. Right? Because socialism also incurs corruption. It also does. Capitalism, if it's done better, you at least have an option. In other words, if you're a socialist, if you're in a social society, there is the government acceptable worker, right? Whatever. In this case, I'm going to say this guy's construction. You said crew. I'm going to assume it's construction. I don't know if it is, but for the sake of argument, I'm going to say that. So it's construction. You have the government approved construction guy. Well, he's corrupt. Oh, well, no one else can do it. Oh, well. So deal with corruption. If it's more capitalist, more people can do it. You have more handymen, more of a choice. You know one guy's corrupt. You don't use them anymore. Not just that. The workers go, why am I only getting $25 a day when you just bought a Lamborghini? I ain't working for you. I got 3 or 4 more people I could work for. But when you have licensing, which is government run, and then guys like this guy bribe the government to make sure licensing is only done for certain people, certain ways, he can make it to where he's the only game in town or him and his buddy, the only 2 games in town. And they now create a cartel where you're getting $120 a day or you're not working. That's what happens. That's not the market. That's government licensing. So again, I'm bringing it back to government. Now, socialism, generally speaking, there's some exceptions, obviously, but socialism tends to have more of that. And only certain people can. So the corruption becomes deeper. Does that mean with capitalism there's no corruption? Of course not. If you're measuring my ideas against perfection, I always lose. I'm not perfect. Neither is anyone else. I mean, I'm pretty close, but neither is anybody else. Right? Of course not. I will always lose against perfection. I'm saying against the current status quo. You're talking about the current status quo. I'm talking about ending licensing, or at least removing it, making it much easier, having credentialing instead to open up the market so that you will have more choices. So if you're someone who won't get out of bed for $300 a day, let's do $300 a day, and now I got 2 people who the government says can work, and they both go 125 or don't work, you're screwed. You're screwed. But when I go, look, there's a credentialing process. Do you believe in a credentialing process or not? If you do, only pick the guys who are credentialed. But if someone else wants to work, allow them to work. You can now show up and go $300 a day because I'm better than them. There's other people in town. That's how the actual world works, dude. And if you look in places like this, the black market does this. The black market shows this to be true. You see it in the black market all the time. So anyway, all righty. Hold on. Let's see. Nosy then asked, when does the count go on? Oh, I will be announcing my results in about 2 weeks. So yes. All right. Robert says government had programming that taught some of the incarcerated how to fight fires. I remember that. But upon release, they couldn't get hired in fields related to their skills. Yes, because our system says if you're a felon, you can't get hired. Systemic yet again. Yes. Systemic yet again. You're right. Government program is not the answer. Occasion says, thank you for saying on Long Island. We don't live in it. Correct. I used to live on Long Island. I actually graduated high school on Long Island. Yes. Suffolk County. Absolutely. All righty. Grab some more of this if I can. Robert says, to be fair, capitalism has slavery too. Yes, you're not wrong. Capitalism is not perfect. I'm not saying that. But again, particularly in today's world, capitalism is still affected by the culture. We had slavery not because of capitalism. We had slavery because of culture. There was slavery when there were monarchs. There was slavery when there was socialism. There was slavery when there was capitalism. We had slavery because of culture. Our economic process didn't matter, right? I mean, to be forward, capitalism probably is probably a stronger reason to end it because capitalism allows for machinery that makes slavery not as valuable, right? So I think that's one piece. So I think there is an aspect to it. But again, cultural is why we had slavery. That's it. All righty. Bronna says, I'm just busting your balls, Larry. I know you're very busy, and I have really, as an anti-voter, been trying to convince New Yorkers to check you out. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Notice says, when CEOs make $20,000 an hour and worker bees get enough to live on, I'm not selfish. I support small business. I'm with you. I'm with you on that, actually. And here's an issue, right? That happened, by the way, also because government. Larry, I'm not making this up. What actually happened, it's a true story, is they were trying, this is true story, they were trying to punish CEOs. If you think I'm making this up, do your own homework. I'm not making this up. They were trying to punish CEOs. So when it came to public companies, they said, we want to make all CEO salaries transparent because that's going to shame the CEOs. That was what they thought. Well, what happened? Well, once they saw it was transparent, every company tried to get the best CEOs. They were comparing all the salaries. Everyone knew all the salaries. So that's the reason for the explosion in CEO salaries. Again, not making this up, dude. That's the reason. Yes. If you want to fix that, do something that the Swiss was talking about. The Swiss were trying to create a law. The number was stupid, but the concept was a real concept. Now, I'm not saying with this law, but I'll explain in a second. What the Swiss said is, it doesn't matter how much the CEO makes. That's irrelevant. What matters is how much the CEO makes relative to their average employee. That's the key. They wanted an average, right? So if your company's making $1 bazillion and your CEO wants to make $500 million, great. But are all the workers, are they also getting a whole lot of money compared to other workers because of how valuable the company is? Is that true? And they wanted to pass a law in Switzerland that said a CEO cannot make more than 12 times the average worker. Now, that was insanely stupid. Why was that stupid? Because the numbers, but no, because it's already so inflated, you would have to make massive increases in all of your workers or cut the salaries of all of your CEOs immediately. It was too late when the law came out. It had already been inflated. Now we're like 300 times. It's insane now. You're correct. But if you actually want to stop it, it's very simple. If you want to stop it, you say any public company must provide that ratio publicly. Not the amount. The amount's irrelevant. The ratio. What is the ratio? Average employee to CEO or C-suite. You could decide either one. What's the average between the two? Everyone has to know that. And now you decide what you want to invest in based upon that. Now you change it to be cultural. Wait a minute. Why am I going to invest in this company? It's 300 to 1. This one's 100 to 1. That's better. Now, what would happen? Now, if investors are thinking that way, the company will shift and change. Why? Because they care about workers? No, they don't. Because they care about investors, sadly. Some people would say, I'm not going to buy from that company. Why? Because of what they do. It's 300 to 1. I'm not buying from that company. This company's 100 to 1. Okay. You might go 100 to 1 is too much. Okay, but then if people care, they would lower that. Now, a CEO still might want his gazillion dollars. Great. He's going to pay the rest more. He can still get his gazillions if he wants it. Oh, great. He's got to pay the rest more. If you went with a ratio that was publicly put out there, the people could decide what's right and wrong and decide, you know what, I want my MacBook, I don't care. Or, you know what, no, I care. This is you're exploiting your workers. I'm not going to buy from you. And then the market could decide if you actually cared. So this can be done. But the way we're doing this, we're going to force them. Here's the thing. You can't force them. And we keep saying it. I go back to Kyle. Kyle's like, we got to stop them. How are you going to stop them? They run everything. You must change culture. This is what I keep talking about. If you change the culture, things will change. That's the issue. So I get what you're saying. It can be fixed. It just takes time to fix it. So, yes. Libertarian, socialist, Democrat. Libertarian, socialist, Democrat says, thank you for $2. We would going back to the gold standard cool inflation. I'm not sure we can. I'm not. And my worry is not that we shouldn't. Not that we shouldn't. I'm not sure we can. And what I mean by that is our dollar is so broken. I don't know if we can go back to the gold standard right now. Our economy is so built on debt. I feel like we should do it. Like it's a thing we should go towards. But I can't imagine us doing it without, again, making a cultural change first. We have a couple problems in America when it comes to our economy. I mean, many of them. But when it comes to this, one of the biggest issues is we're reliant upon debt. Finance is far too large of our part of our economy. Finance shouldn't be more than about 4% of the economy, maybe 5%. It shouldn't be much more than that. We need finance. Finance is important. People to be able to, borrow money and such. But when we look at insurance and finance and all that kind of, it's like 20% of our economy. It's insane. They might go, well, Larry, why is that bad? Because they don't make anything. They don't do anything. They move money around. That's it. Which is not a bad thing. We need that in an economy. You need to be able to move money around. That's an important thing. You need banking and financing and loans. That's important in an economy. But it should be a small percentage of your economy. Most of your economy should be making stuff, doing stuff, right? Most of it should be that. The vast majority should be that. We're way too high in that. So the idea is good. How do we get there is an issue, which is why I was joking, but not joking. When you become president, anyone who becomes president, you should bring on Ron Paul so he can figure out how to dismantle the Fed. Now, there was like, end the Fed. If we just ended the Fed tomorrow, the amount of disruption and collapse that would happen in our country, we would fall into a dictatorship within 30 days. 30 days, dictatorship. Maybe 60, because, right? Well, let me be realistic. I'm exaggerating 30. Probably 90 days, because people having to pay their bills and such. Probably 90 days. So between 3 and 6 months, we'd be a dictatorship, because people would beg for stability. They'd beg for an iron fist. It's just who people are. So we'd have to find a way to go back to the gold standard. And that might take a year. I don't actually know. It could take 2 years. I don't know. Maybe 6 months. Who knows? But we have to find a way to get us back to a gold standard or something. I would take silver. I don't care. I would take our money back with something. I don't care what it would be, right? I'm actually not even against doing it against infrastructure. And that was an idea that was brought up also. Having your dollars backed by infrastructure. Even that, because that has value. Something that has value, right? Whatever, I'll take it, right? The dollar's based upon something. I could do that too. So there we go. Well, you've been talking about capitalism and slavery. Oddly, there is a show recently that was talking about that, about capitalism and slavery. Do you know where it was? Yeah, it was civil. Of course it is. You guys know, I know I'm not shocking any of you, am I? It's true. Literally, Words and Numbers, episode 486 is slavery and capitalism. It's as if I knew that was coming.
Coming up next on Words and Numbers, Powerball, approval ratings, slavery reparations, and was capitalism built on slavery? All this and more coming up next on Words and Numbers.
Robert, you got to watch that. We talk about it all the time. This one's for you. This is just for you, Robert. I know you'll love it. Head on over to Civil if you can. Civil.com, code Larry10 for 10% off. Larry, the coolest name on the internet, and 10 for 10% off. Please head on over there. You will see things like this. They're going to talk about these issues, as they always do. And it's an actual conversation with people going back and forth. You can be mad about it, happy about it, the case may be, but you get real conversations, real ideas, and real history on this. I think you guys will enjoy it. Check it out. Civil.com, CIVL.com. We are upgrading civilization without the conflict machine. Just real conversations talking about things that matter. Please support Civil if you can. Civil.com, code Larry10 for 10% off. Thanks for supporting you guys. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I know I talked about that. Something else, please, if you would. Click the button known as like. Why won't you? I don't know why you hate me. I don't get it. Somehow you guys do. Don't hate me. Do it. All right. Keep going down here if I can. So many of these. I keep going. All right. Robert says, what happens when the market wants to sell your child fentanyl? Well, there are two things. Number one is, as a general rule, the market is for consenting adults. So the child it's not an issue. I mean, adult. Should an adult be able to buy fentanyl? They do now, don't they? So yes, that's why. The assumption always is the market's evil. That's always the assumption. The market's evil, right? Well, if the market's evil, it's just people. So why isn't the government evil? The market isn't inherently evil. That's how it works. It just isn't, right? It's apathetic. That's true. So if the market wants to sell your child fentanyl, no worries. You could simply have a rule that says it's for consenting adults. That's it. Now, can children buy dangerous things? Yes. Children can right now go into a store and buy rat poison. It's dangerous. You want to stop that too? You could if you want to. It's up to you. You can say that. Children can't buy rat poison. No worries. If you want to, you can do that. It's okay, but they can right now. If they ate that rat poison, they might die. Could happen. They do it. But you don't have to do that if you want to. Make a law that says you can't do it for children. Fine. The assumption always is, and this is the thing I always get, when I talk about making things closer to a more freer market, an open market, there's some always go, but then they'll be killing people in the streets. When has that happened in a libertarian world? The closest thing you can find is the Amish. Are the Amish killing people in the streets? Do the Amish have a horrible drug problem like we do? I'm sure they have drugs in the Amish community. Do they have it as bad as we do? No. Do they have the overdose problem that we have? No. Where's your evidence of this? This is just this fear mongering. It's not true. Where are these worst problems when we have the most government? New York State has some of the worst problems and the most control. The government controls all of this stuff. And it's some of the worst. The evidence of this is not the way it is. Robert says the market saw fit to sell humans to chattel slavery. There absolutely needs to be regulation on some of the. Okay, first off, nobody said no regulation. No one's ever said that. I mean, well, I'm sorry. No person running for office ever said. No one said that, Robert. That's you fear-mongering. It's not true. Not just that. The market didn't see fit. Humans saw fit. We've had slavery forever. Forever. The Romans did it when they were under an emperor. The Chinese did it under an emperor. The Vikings did it, and they were pretty much chaotic, just kind of people hanging together as clans, and they did it. So however you create your environment, people sell slaves. That's been a thing. It's culture that has changed. To say it's capitalism is silly. That's silly to even say. It's not capitalism. It is humans thought it was okay, so they did. And they did it when it was more socialist, more monarchist, more capitalist. When people thought it was okay to sell slaves, they did. Are you saying the Bible's capitalistic? The Bible's got slavery in it. Back from what, the Iron Age? There's been slavery forever. This concept of trying to blame capitalism for slavery is silly. It's just not true. Slavery ended because culture changed and said slavery is not good anymore. Now, to be forward, one of the reasons why is pretty much because people want to get ahead. But yes, still true. Adirondack says, AMA, I feel like I'm seeing a lot more mention of Sharpe on social media. Is this an echo chamber thing? Are we making progress? We are making progress. It is. And a lot of it's because of you guys. You are doing what I've been asking you to do, which is trying my damnedest to get you guys to go out there and put my name on stuff. And you guys are doing it. I see it. You're sharing my stuff. You're putting my name on places. It's working. It's absolutely working. So yes, it is getting better. We are making progress. I am seeing it. Thank you for what you're doing. Please don't stop. Yes. It says one law will fix it. You must spend at least 7% of your income. What? Okay. I cannot tell you how terrible that idea is. And I'll tell you why that idea is terrible. It's horrible. Number one, now I have to report to a government agency every dollar I spend. What if I want to save money to buy a house? I can't. What if I want to make a bunch of money? What if I put a bunch of money and I want to save my money up so I can buy a house? And when do you have to spend it by? Within 30 days? Within 6 months? Within a year? What happens if I want to spend this money and I'm going to buy my house, but my house takes 6 months longer to sell, but your law is 30 days? I can give my money away. I can't buy my house now. Terrible idea. Terrible. And then how do you define spend? Is investing spending? Is giving to a charity spending? I got to define what spending is? Horrible idea. My idea of percentages and letting culture decide is way better. Do a ratio and then let the culture change. There is no slavery, not because capitalism, not because markets, not because socialism. There's no slavery because culture. How do I know that? There's still slavery in some parts of Libya right now. Why? Because the culture says okay, not because capitalism, not because socialism, not because monarchy, because their culture said, yeah, it's fine. That's the reason why. So whether you're capitalist or socialist or monarchist or communist, if your culture says it's good, it's good. That's how that works. So if our culture says you're getting 200 times more than the average employee, you are a bad human being. If our culture says that, then they won't do it. And then if I want to make my gazillions, I can. It's going to make sure all my workers get paid accordingly. All good. It's a much better way of doing it. Yes, much better way of doing it. So I hope that makes sense at least. All right. Mike goes, Libertarian Social Democrat, there isn't enough gold in the world for U.S. debt. Before asset reset, need to control spending and reduce debt, eliminate waste, corruption, then consider that. Mike's correct. Yes. Could it be done? Yes. Should it be done? I also think onto something. I'm not sold on it being only gold, but I would accept that on something. But Mike is correct. There's so much that has to happen before we get there. And I think we should. I think Mike's correct. We could walk down that road. I think we should move towards it. Is that a year? Is that 2 years? Is that 6 months? I have no idea how long that is. I haven't thought this through, so I don't know how long that is. Sake of argument, it's a year. I don't know if that's true. But so say it's a year. Okay, it's a year. Let's walk down that road and then figure out what the dollar should be based upon. Gold, fine, or whatever. Silver, you pick. I don't care. Bitcoin, I don't care. I don't, something, right? Something. I think Mike is correct. You got to walk down this road. It may not be gold, but you could go down this road and get to gold. You could. The problem is the dollar will be worth a whole lot of gold. You could. So yes. All righty. Let me walk down some more of these. It says government keeps people down, props up Walmart. Yes. Walmart keeps cash. Yes. Accurate. Yes, absolutely true. Yes, Nosy, you're correct. Robert says a fair wage determined by negotiating between laborers and employees. The problem becomes if employees could whittle wages down to zero, they would. How do I know? That's how America got slavery. That's not true. No, that's not true. Employers wouldn't whittle wages down to zero because then they have no control over their employees, right? They control their employees through wages. They wouldn't want wages at zero. They want wages very low so they can give a little bit here, drop a little bit here. If employers got what they wanted, they would not want zero. They would want an amount they could shift and adjust to move to control the people. That's what they would want. So they wouldn't want zero. They want very low where they can move and shift to control their population. That's what they would want in their perfect world. They wouldn't want zero. That's how you know. And America getting slavery, that's not accurate. America got slavery because people want to work someplace else, and Africans were prepared to sell people into slavery. That's slavery. So yeah. All righty. Let me grab some of these if I can. You guys going back and forth yourselves. I appreciate that. All righty. John says that shows that too many Republicans don't understand freedom of religion, but Democrats keep thinking it's freedom from religion. It should be a book that the individual finds holy. Agreed. Yes, agreed on that piece. Yeah, I don't care what he puts his hand on. Who cares? You put a hand, whatever. I don't care. Yes. Lenari, thank you for the $10. Larry, does Hochul have her own skeleton in her closet, similar to the Learning Center in Minnesota? Ooh, my gut says no. And why I say that is, if the Republicans could have found that, I think they would have brought it out already. All they ever do is attack Hochul in whatever they possibly can. I think if it was there, they would pull it out. That is my gut on that one. But not just that. Unless there can be actual charges or something like that, it wouldn't matter. It would have to be federal. What's screwing him over right now, Walt, is it was federal money. If it was state money, he'd be fine. So yeah. Phil says, fun AMA, is DC or Marvel better? Well, it's funny. DC is older than Marvel. DC, I think, came out in the 30s, if I'm not mistaken. Marvel came out in what, 60s, 50s? So Marvel's newer. DC's older. Which one is better? And it's going to make some of you angry, I don't care. Without question, Marvel's better. And let me explain why. It's an unfair reason, but it is true. Our culture when DC came out was much more of a black and white culture in many ways. But one guy had a white hat on, one guy had a black hat on, and that's how it worked. People were good or people were bad, right? That's how it was. The culture was much more that way. So most of DC's original people were very much two-dimensional. Superman is good because he's all good, and he's amazing and awesome because he's good, and that's it. And the bad guy is bad because he's bad, and he's just so bad, and that's why he's bad. And that was it. There wasn't a depth to the original DC. And Superman had all the powers that were good because good people have all the good powers. That's why Superman is so super. He has heat vision and X-ray vision, and he can bend steel, and he can fly. He can do all the things. And a lot of DC was that way. There was an exception with DC, which is why the most popular DC hero is Batman. Batman was the only DC hero in the early days who was actually very flawed and human. For those you know, DC stands for Detective Comics. That's what DC stands for. And Batman came out originally as a detective. He was figuring things out. He wasn't super powerful, but he would figure things out. He was a detective. He was very smart and savvy. He also had a terrible backstory with his parents being killed. So he was a flawed character. Now, Marvel had time to see this. When Stan Lee and the boys came out and Marvel came out, almost all of their characters were actually flawed characters. They, like, Superman wasn't, there was Superman. There was whoever, like Thor wasn't perfect. He had problems, right? Hulk had problems. You know, Stark was an alcoholic, right? Everyone had issues and problems and worries, right? They weren't perfect and wonderful. And they were very human, right? Spider-Man was like a kid in Queens and stuff. And that storytelling was far better than DC storytelling was. But not just that. Marvel added something that DC did not have originally, which was the villain origin story. That was a new thing. Marvel came up with the villain origin story. Prior to that, DC, he was a bad guy. Why? Because he was bad. That's it. He's just the Joker because he's the Joker. There was no, he's just bad, right? General Zod is just bad. General Zod. That's it. There was no reason behind it. He was just a bad guy. Born bad, I guess. Marvel didn't have that. Marvel's bad guys had an origin story. Why someone became bad, what they believed in, what they were trying to achieve. It really made for better storytelling, which made Marvel better. Now, DC figured that out. And then later on, DC started to match that and become better. And DC did become better as they were going through that, right? That was one piece. So Marvel's better. Long story short, Marvel's better. There we go. Hope I answered your question at least. All right, let me keep going down this road. All righty. You guys went back and forth with yourselves on this one, which is okay. I love that. You guys going back and forth, no worries. I will grab some that meant at me. I appreciate when you guys, by the way, do that. Adirondack says, fees from permits and licensing make us safer because the dollars was paid. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Nobody says, is it too late to donate to what's being reported? No, you can go until Monday. So if you want to give more, you can, of course, LarrySharpe.com/donate if you do want to. I'm not saying you should do that because I can't promote that on the show, but you asked. So I will just tell you where you can go if you care. I'm not telling you to do so because that might be like an advertisement or something. You asked, I'm giving you information only, FEC. Don't be mad at me. I did not tell you to do so. But if you do care, you may go to LarrySharpe.com/donate. If you want to, I am not telling you to do so. FEC, I didn't say that. But I'm giving you information because you asked. That's all. Just so we're clear on that. Yes. LM Knox says, at what point does capitalism become crony or corporatism? Boy, that is a tough one, brother. And I don't think that line is sharp. Pun intended. I don't think that line is sharp, and I think that line moves. It's a fuzzy line, and it moves. We have to always be on the lookout for it shifting into those two things. The best way we can make it, right? The best way we can make it is by being as transparent as possible. That gives us the best chance to catch it as it shifts in there. I think it will shift. I think it is natural for all governments to shift into cronyism and corporatism. I think that's the natural way of things. Governments, regardless of governments, whether they are capitalist, more democratic, more monarchist, more socialist, I don't think it matters. I think power tends to move towards power no matter what. So I think we're always going to have some of it. The question is how fast can we stop it? And the more people see it, the more they will rebel against it. People instinctively don't like it. The problem is when we create, like we have now a two-party system, other guy bad, they decide to go, well, if I'm a Republican cronyism is better than Democratic cronyism. Democratic cronyism is better than Republican cronyism. No, they both suck. But it's a valid question, and one I think which is not easily answered. I think you always move towards it. It's a constant pushback. And we'll never get rid of it. We'll never get rid of greed. We'll never get rid of corruption. But can we lessen it? Yes. One of the most important things we can do is stop centralization. Why? If I want to be a crony and all I have to do is go to Albany and write a check to a couple people in Albany and I get what I want, that's way easier. But if it's more decentralized, and in the case of New York, 62 counties, I got to write 62 checks. Yes. That's harder. There's going to be less cronyism, corporatism, just because it's harder to do. I know it sounds dumb, but it's true, right? If I can get my gazillion dollars by just going to D.C. and bribing one or two guys in D.C., and I get my gazillions, I'll do that, of course. But what if I got to go to all 50 states and I got to bribe two people in every state? It takes more time. It's harder, more money. And then some of them, like, I'm going to get a much bigger bang for my buck in California than I am in Alaska. So do I really want to go to Alaska to make that happen? I'll just do California. And I know it sounds silly, but it's actually true. So, yes. Phil says, it's actually really interesting. When you look at slave owners, they basically said that they were better than factory owners. And Karl Marx agreed. Well, maybe because they were more open, I guess. Maybe. I could see that. So, Adirondack says, I thought the American dream was I could create a thing, sell it, and become wealthy. Many people think that should be illegal. Yeah, that's what this guy's doing. The guy you just saw that I showed you here, that's what he did. And he's like, this is what I did, so you guys can't. Yes, you can't. Yes. Nose says, I will donate again, but I can't, but I can get it in this report. Yes, you can. You can. Monday's my last day. So you can actually do it again if you want to. Yes, do it before Monday. Yep. Zuborn says, I don't care how much a person makes, but we got to nix this Marxist labor theory of value narrative prevalent in the world. 100%. This Marxist labor theory of value is insanely stupid. And people buy it. Newer socialists don't super weapons. They go, nah, that's not real. The neo-socialists, The newer socialists do not. They actually push it away. They go, that's not real, because it isn't. For those who don't know what that is, the Marxist theory of labor theory of value is the value something has is the amount of labor put into it. See, they all put labor into it. And with that mindset, if I put labor into it and then you sell it, you have robbed me, because the value is my labor. Since I made it, if you sell it, you have robbed me. You have to give me the amount of labor I put into it. Insanely fucking stupid. I mean, so insanely, so obviously wrong. So obviously wrong. But there's a lot of people who absolutely believe this. Like, yes, you're robbing me. There's people who are professors in colleges who still say, so now you've been robbed by your employer. So if I dig a hole and I spend an hour to dig a hole and my time is worth $100 for an hour, I hope it's worth that much. That hole's worth $100? According to Marxists, yes. I dig a hole. I put hour labor in it. What if it's minimum wage, $20 in New York? New York City, $20, right? $20 minimum wage. So it's worth $20. Anyone use that hole? No. Does it have any value? No, it's worth $20. You got to give me $20 now for that hole. Why? Because I put my labor into it. That's insanely dumb. It's insanely dumb. It makes no sense. You're right. We have to break this, which is what I keep saying. The idea of hourly labor has not been a good idea for decades. It has not been a good idea for decades, and we're still doing it. AI is showing us how dumb that is. That's the one advantage. I mean, it has a couple of advantages. Another advantage it has. It shows us how stupid that is. Because now I type stuff. Okay, so that answer was only worth 7 cents because I just typed it. That's it. Because I only spent that much time. Makes no sense. The price of something, the value of something, is always based upon one thing. And some of you are going to be crazy when I said one thing only. Perceived scarcity. That's it. Price is based upon perceived, not real, perceived scarcity. That's it. But Larry, I went to college. You got to pay for that. No, I don't. I don't. But I got 2 master's degrees. Okay, so you did something stupid twice. I don't got to pay for that. Do I see value in what you're doing? Well, I write resumes. Okay, do a lot of people write resumes? If the answer is yes, there's no scarcity, there's no value in it. If not many people do it, or you do it a special way that others don't do it, or I believe that, again, perceived scarcity. It may not be real. I might think Super Weapons, you write the best resumes in the world. No one else will do like you. That may not be true or may be true, but if I believe it, I'll pay for it. Because perceived scarcity is what pricing is actually on. All pricing is actually on perceived scarcity. Do I believe it is valuable because I don't have enough of it or I can't get it? Now, why perceived? Because if I'm coming up, say, for example, I'll give you I'm going to give you a pair of glasses. And you're like, I don't need glasses. The perceived scarcity is non-existent because I don't need it. But I need those glasses. And the ones you have are green. Oh, there aren't many green ones. And I love green. So perceived scarcity means I would pay more for that because I would see that as valuable because I would think there aren't that many. I can't just grab green glasses. Now, if I don't need glasses, I don't care. Well, if I don't like green, I don't care. No perceived scarcity because that's no value. And that's what it's actually based upon, just to be forward. So, all righty. Phil says, if an alcoholic ever relapses, then they were never serious about sobriety. Ooh, good point. Adironic says, people who complain about the CEO salaries don't give that guy your dollars. Now, that would work if you have a more open playing field with more options and more choices. So that's the second piece. It isn't just that. You have to also have a lot of options and choices. So that I can go, well, you know what? That guy's doing 300 to 1. That guy's doing 100 to 1. I'll go 100 to 1. Then what would happen? If that became culturally, if that became an issue, if that mattered, you might go, Larry, of course it matters. Why do you think all these companies started having like DEI policies? Because that became culturally important and people cared. What about having like things like, I'm giving away or I'm philanthropy? What? Because that became culturally important and people cared. If that becomes culturally important, the percentage of what the CEO or C-suite makes versus the average person, if that becomes culturally important, people will care. They're going, I'm not going to this company or another company. Why? They're only 100 to 1. And the number will be the number that we decide as a culture. Should it be 100 to 1, 300 to 1, 20 to 1? whatever it should be. The problem with the Swiss is they made a number up, which was stupid. They made a number up and try to force it. Stupid, never going to work. But if we actually as a culture decide, what is the right number? Now, I don't know that number. I don't think any of us actually know the right number. I mean, maybe you do. I don't. But if we start talking about it and it becomes a cultural issue, we'll figure out what's the number. Should it be 100 to 1, 300 to 1, 50 to 1? Okay. Maybe they compete. And maybe the marketing matters. I say, yeah, I'm 100 to 1 and he's only 80 to 1, but I'm 100 to 1 because of X, Y, and Z and perceived scarcity. So believe me and buy my product. Sure. Or the reverse. I believe in this and I believe so strongly. I'm only 60 to 1 or whatever. Who cares? Oh, good. We'll figure it out. So 6022 says you would have to factor in for where they have their employees. A salary that's struggling in New York City is high life in Appalachia. True. And maybe there will be a rule on that, right? And again, that's why you don't want to pass a law. If you make this cultural, people have cultural answers, right? If I yell at some CEO, why are you so much? I said, because most of my guys are in Appalachia. I live in New York City. I have to have it high. That's why I'm 95 to 1 when that guy's 85 to 1. He lives in Appalachia. I don't. Maybe that will be the answer. Maybe. And if we buy it, then we buy it. If we don't, we don't. Yes. Andrea says you have to get regulations out of the way so small business can compete and we have an alternative. True. Yes. Nosy says to go back to gold standard would take 20 years to burn all that worthless paper to get back on gold. I hope not, but it could be. I hope you're wrong, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I could see it. I definitely could see it. Yes. Robert says what happens in the past has a trajectory for the future and makes manifest the present. You're right. There is no further study that I can think of that encourages students to not be bound by the past. There's no field of study that I can think of that encourages students to not be bound by the past. I think history tells you to not be bound by the past. I think it literally does. I think it says learn from the past. Don't do what the past. I'm sorry. That's not true. That's what history should do. I stand corrected, Robert. It's what I tell my kids. When I'm teaching history, I'm saying, don't be bound by this. It's not the right answer. There's been tons of mistakes. Stop doing this. So if history is taught correctly, history. If it's not, you're right. So I think history does do that. And I'll go one step further. Physics. Physics also tells you to move past it, right? You have to make the next step, right? I think that's why most people who make their bones in physics are younger because they ignore the past. I think because they're young and like, I don't care about the past. So that's why most in physics, they're younger. So I think there are a couple. You could find some. So yes. 99 says, could other less hyper valuable metals be used for trying value to, but be more feasible, such as silver and copper standard? 100% yes. You could tie it to all types of stuff. You could actually mix it and match it in theory, right? That was the idea of creating a sovereign fund that RFK Jr. came out with, didn't come out with, didn't came out with, but he supported when he ran in 2024. He was saying you make a sovereign fund with different mixes of precious metals to back whatever it is. And this was the original goal of the BRICS currency, there's not a BRICS currency, but the original plan they talked about was something like that. Create a mix of things and then the BRICS currency would be backed by this amount of so-and-so. The concept is a good concept. The question is, how do you do it? So you're asking about feasibility. I think it is feasible. The question is there a desire for it, right? The petrodollar is doing just fine right now. Okay, I'm exaggerating. It's not doing just fine. It's still working right now. It's struggling a bit here or there. It is. And I think the BRICS people are on their way up, but they're still far from being a BRICS currency. We're not there. We're at least 10 years away, if not longer, but we're not there. BRICS is growing. That's true. De-dollarization is happening. That's true, but we're not there yet. I mean, maybe 10 years from now, I don't know, maybe. I mean, unless AI makes massive changes, 5. But I'm guessing completely on that one, 99. I don't know, but I think it becomes more feasible when people start thinking, how do we do it? I don't think people have really sat down and said, let's figure this out. I don't think they have. At least governments haven't. And eventually governments, if they want to do it, will have to do it. I think you can. You can create a silver or a copper. You could, in theory, create anything. Remember, back in the day, there were coins of every denomination. There were silver coins and gold coins and copper coins. So you could do that. In fact, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, they talk about different types of coins: gold, silver, platinum, and copper. Different types of coins you could use. So I think you can do it. We haven't in so long. How the hell do we do it? You could, though. It's doable. Yes. So, all righty. Phil, thank you for the $5, my friend. Can businesses allow their employees to be entrepreneur within their firm? Sales commission seems to go away their employees to participate in profit. Yes and no. You can, but the problem is in states like New York State, they absolutely shit all over that and frown on that. They're like, don't do that. Hourly wage, paying for so-and-so. The laws in states like New York and California make this very hard to do. The state punishes you if you don't wage slave your employees, right? And that's the new form. To the point earlier I was saying with slavery, they don't want zero. That's not true. They want low so they can manipulate you, right? And I'm not joking. They don't want zero because then I can't manipulate you, because I can't. If in the case of slavery, I can literally beat you and not feed you, but we don't have slavery now. I'm happy about that, by the way. So they wouldn't want zero because they can't beat you or not feed you, right? So they have to control you with dollars. They want the lowest amount that they can control you with. The problem is the government encourages that. The government says, oh, you want to make a deal? No, you cannot. No, you may not. They stop it constantly. And they force people into being employees. Why? Payroll taxes. Payroll taxes is why they stop it. You'd have to be able to somehow tax it in some way. Generally speaking, sales commissions do not work unless the people are actually in sales. The average person does not like sales commissions at all. They do not. What I mean by that, it's a personality piece for most people. Most people are not that entrepreneurial in the way that far. In other words, people don't want to. General rule, again, I do a lot of, this is what I do in my day job when I'm not running for governor. There's a difference in someone's mind when you pay the mercenary versus reward the hero. And while the outcome may be the same, you're getting money, the feeling is very different. Most people don't like being mercenaries. Some do, and they become very good sales personnel. Those people who do, but it's a very small percentage of the population, maybe 10%. Most people don't like being mercenary. They prefer to be part of a team and get rewarded by being a hero. So that's why the idea of sales commissions will turn most people off. It happens all the time. Many entrepreneurs are very much into sales commissions and very mercenary. It's a common thing. So they have a customer service team and they go, well, customer service, if you upsell, we'll give you a cut. They think that will work. What actually happens is the reverse. They have less sales and people leave. What you want to do is you want to give them profit sharing. Way better, feels better, and it's a chunk. So while the outcome may be the same, the feeling is very different. So sales commissions, generally speaking, not good unless you have a sales force. Much better is profit sharing. So the answer is something like this example. If the company brings in $100,000 next quarter, then every person will get a check for $100. I made that up. I don't know if it makes any sense, but that concept, people tend to like that. Oh, we made a lot of money. We all get a check. That type of thing makes most people feel good. The mercenary person will want to be a sales rep and they'll want to get a cut. And that's fine. You can have different forms if you want to, right? So, hey, you want to be a sales rep? Go. You get a cut. You don't? Just work hard, do well, come make some money, you get a check. So yes, you can do that too. Both of those can work depending upon your the people who work for you. So yes. All righty. Super Weapon says, I don't think it would have fallen to dictatorship if people knew there was an upside on the other side of the pain. Okay, valid point. If you were able to communicate that perfectly. I haven't seen anyone come close except maybe Malay. You'd have to communicate that so well, Super Weapons, and have some type of community ready to go. So I'm not sure that we're that good doing it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not sure we could do that. So yes. Phil says, I had family that starved nearly to death in a Southern prison camp after serving in the Union Cavalry. It took months for him to be fed and recover. Yeah. There we go. All righty. LM now says, I recently heard 70% of the economy is healthcare. I know so much is in that area. I know. Yes. Bronna says, I am all for tossing the Constitution. The Constitution is authority bullshit. Lysander Spooner, probably. Look, am I okay with making shifts and adjustments? I am. The reason why I'm not okay with tossing it is because what would pop up would be dictatorship. I do not trust people in general when there is massive disruption. They beg for dictatorship every single time. There's never been a time when that happens and they go, let's do good stuff. That's never happened. So yeah, let's have a constitutional convention and reboot it. Okay, that I'm okay with. But ending it, I just see a disaster. That's what I see. I see a disaster. So yes. MC Soja says, go Larry, go. Thank you, my friend. $5. I appreciate it. I'm trying to rock and roll. I am going. Yes, I am. So yes. 6022 says the market hasn't sent drone strikes to weddings. True. And probably never would. Yes. Robert says the point is not that the market's evil, doesn't care. Yes, which means if you create incentives, you're exactly correct, Robert. So if you create incentives to where doing the right thing benefits the market does the right thing. Not because it cares, because it incentivizes doing the right thing. Does that make sense? So my whole point is, if you show, hey, culture cares that you have 12 to 1 or 20 to 1 or 100 to 1. Culture cares, and we're not going to buy your products or invest in you if you don't do that. They would do it. Not because they care, but they would do it. The example again is, look at, again, I go back to diversity. There were many people, and for those who don't know, if you were in the world, you'll know I'm right, particularly in the last 20 years, if you didn't have enough females and or minorities on your board, no one would invest in you. I'm not joking. They wouldn't invest in you. So the board started being diversified because they care about diversity? No. To your point, Rob, they don't give a shit about diversity. They don't care. Diversity, yes. Diversity, no. They don't care. Can I get my money? Oh, I got to have, 2 black guys and a gay woman, and I get my money? Done. Find me 2 black guys and a gay woman. To your point, I'm agreeing with you completely. So let's make incentives that would get the market to do the right thing, and it will. It'll do whatever you tell it to do. It doesn't care. It just wants cash. So why don't we say, hey, let's do the right thing? That's what I think is the issue, right? I'm agreeing with you completely. I think if we do that, that the market will be better. Because again, exactly to your point, it was the right thing. So, Nosy says, build people, banking system to replace it. Yes. 100% Nosy. Yes, yes, and yes. I'm all in with that. I think localized credit unions, great idea. 100% yes, I'm in. Yep. Nosy goes on to say, I like your ratio idea. If that CEO is making $20,000 an hour, he would have to spend his too. This is huge benefit. Well, yeah, but if you have a ratio idea, right? And if whatever, the idea is 100 to 1. I made that up, whatever that number is. So if he's making $20,000 an hour, his average employee has to make $200 an hour. That's a lot of money for an average employee, right? If it's 50 to 1, he's got to make what? How much is that? $1,000 an hour? Is my math right? Whatever the number is, right? Whatever number is, he's got to make. But he's making whatever. He's making $400. He's making $400 an hour. If you're on 51, $400 an hour. Jesus Christ! That means the janitor's probably making $250 an hour, right? Some of you managers are making $600,000, $700,000 an hour. Fine, let him make his money, but everyone has to get paid. Let him make his money. I want to make $20,000 an hour. Okay, you may, but your workers got to help you. And again, not a law, but imagine if you did that. How many people would rush to work for that company? They'd rush to work for that company. They would love the CEO to get a raise because then they get a raise. They'd be like, give the CEO more money. Give that guy tons of money. Give him some more. Because then I'm getting paid. They would love it. They'd be proud the CEO makes the most money because that means they make the most money. Be happy. My CEO should make $10 billion a year. So yes, of course that would work. So yes, I think this idea to me seems to be the better idea if you can make it, if you could do it. So yes. All right. LM Knox says, I think co-ops or employee-owned companies is a great alternative to socialism and a great way to keep capitalism on. Yes, 100%. Yes. 100%. Yes. Ironic says, I like DC and Marvel. Same with Star Trek, Star Wars. The difference between Star Trek and Star Wars that changed. And Star Trek changed. Star Wars was always fantasy. It was never science fiction. It was always fantasy. But when it comes to Star Trek used to be science fiction. It wasn't fantasy. And that's made it different. That's why the original Star Trek, in my view, was a better series because it was actually science fiction and not fantasy. When it comes to just fantasy, pew, 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 shooting stuff, Star Wars was obviously better because it was pew, pew, shooting stuff and cool stuff. Yes. But when it came to science fiction, Star Trek was far better. Now, newer Star Trek is just fantasy too. There's no real science. It's right. They've changed it, but there's difference. So hope that makes sense. So, yeah. Mike says, lol, Larry's sharing the real stock history that MCU hid. Larry was a comic book collector. True, I was. He just revealed it without telling. Geek. True. Yes, yes, and yes. Guilty as charged. Yes. Yeah. He says he used to collect comic books. Yes, that's true. Behind me, if you notice, I still have Dr. Doom is with me always. So yes. Still have him here. He does. I still have him here. So, all righty. It's a little disingenuous to cite Africa as a sole. I didn't say sole reason for slavery. Stop that. That's not what I said. It's not what I said. Yes, they engaged as slave traders, but in keeping with market principles, they were supply and demand. Yes, I did not say that. I said that's why I said that's why they grabbed them from Africa. They grabbed them from Africa for two reasons. One, they wanted to make a difference in the social structure, right? Which was they wanted to make sure that there was a difference between. They wanted to make sure that the poor people in America would fight each other and not fight the elites. That's the whole idea of the 1619 Project, right? That's true. But there was a massive supply of slaves in Africa. There was not a massive supply of slaves in Europe. Now, they tried enslaving, if you know this, if you know history, they tried enslaving the Native Americans, but they simply weren't as hardy and as willing as the Africans were. Why? When you take Africans away from their home country, they have nothing to support, no support structure. The Native Americans had support structure. They could defend. They could fight back. They could go back to their tribes, right? They could defend. That's why they killed so many Native Americans, of course, mostly through disease, right? Africans were able to come to America, not have a support structure because their support structure was X thousand miles away in another continent. They couldn't defend themselves. They couldn't do anything. The Native Americans could. So while they tried, particularly the Spanish tried to enslave the Native Americans, and they had trouble enslaving them. They had lots of trouble enslaving them. So they said, well, I can get these Africans and they get to enslave a whole lot easier than these Native Americans like fight back and stuff and have support structures and stuff. And also, by the way, die from our diseases where the Africans don't. So I'm gonna go get Africans. I'm not making this up. This is true. I did not say that. You made it up. You went to sole reason, never said that. Slavery was okay in general. Culturally, it became okay to enslave Africans because in their minds, they could say, oh, they're not human. See, look, they're physically different from us. So it made it much easier for someone culturally to go, well, it's fine. They're not really humans. See, they're different than us. They're different. And many scientists of the day agree with them. So, yeah, but I did not say that. All righty. Let's see if I can go here. Mike says, Superman #1, of course, a few of the rares or complete series collections. New Mutants 1 through 100, 6 is rare. And then the price is close to 90 speed. Yeah, I look at all the money I could have had. My mom threw all my stuff out when I went to the Marine Corps. All gone. All of it. Yeah, it's bad. Yes. So anyway, Robert says, now the question is why there was such a demand for cheap and exploitable labor. There has been since the Industrial Revolution. There has been. That's not a new thing. This still is now. America is built off immigrant cheap labor. Originally slave labor, then eventually Eastern European labor, Now it's much more South American labor. But yeah, it went basically from slave labor to Eastern European labor to native South American labor. Now it's that, and also Middle Eastern labor now, and now starting to some Eastern European, also Southern Asian, a lot of Indian labor now, but a lot of that also is mental. So yes, that's it. Yep. All righty. Let's see here. 61 says it's our hole, Larry. Yes. Yep. Robert goes on to say, and they say that employers don't want to whittle down wages to decrease wages as little as nothing, ignores. Dude, I never said any of that. I don't know what you're just mad. You think I disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. All I'm saying is today, they do not want labor to be zero because then they can't control their population with zero. They can't beat them in slavery. There's no slave. When there was slavery, they wanted zero because you could beat or mistreat and punish your slave. There's no more slavery. So they don't want zero. That's it. They don't want zero. That's all. So yeah, they want it lower. So yes, ignores humanity. AI isn't free. AI is cheap. AI is not free. It's cheap. It still costs money. So it's not. I don't know, Robin. I don't know where you're going with this one. I don't know where you're going with this one. Don't know where you're going. So I'm not saying any of that stuff. All right. Bronner says that labor theory of value is idiotic. Yes, it is insanely dumb, and people believe it. You're totally correct. If I spend 5 years creating a piece of art that everyone else thinks is garbage, am I owed anything for my labor? Yes, Marx tells you that, evil person. It's nonsense gobbled up by government-schooled morons. True. Absolutely. Yes. Mike says, stock markets and commodities are priced on perception and emotions. Always. Yes. Scarcity is information on results and whenever. Yes. True. And again, like your point, it's perceived scarcity. Sometimes it's not true. Sometimes it's just BS. And they buy it anyway. Yes. John goes, slavery existed at the dawn of humanity and still going on. Yep. European trades arrived on the coast of Africa to trade goods. African chiefs bring out some of his slaves as what he has to trade. Yes. Accurate statement. Yes. Absolutely true. So that is accurate. The hyperfixation on CEO salaries, but the complete ignoring of corporate boards and decisions says it all. Well, that was my point. You might want to do a C-suite, right? You might want to. Depends. You might want to do boards. You could do anything. You could make that percentage on any of the leadership. You know me, I always push the leadership piece. Leadership matters tremendously. That's a key piece, right? That's a key piece. I completely agree. Yes. All righty. I'm trying to get through those if I can. All right. You guys are going back and forth. Bonus is competing currencies. I would like the idea. I love the idea of competing currencies. You can mix and match them. Yes. Grace says, Constitution is the most genius man-made document ever. Markets work. 1A is God-given. I have the right to defend myself. It won't get better to lower terms without his document. I'm not a fan of trashing the Constitution. I'm with you. I'm not. It's not, perfect. Obviously. Clearly, it's not perfect. Clearly, the people who are working it's not perfect. Absolutely. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not about ending it. I'm not. Should we have another Constitutional Convention? I'm in. Let's relook at it again. I'm okay with that. But no. Yeah. So, all righty. Gracie says, communism kills more than markets ever have or will. True. Superman goes, the North Carolina State Employees Credit Union is the best in the U.S. They could be the blueprint and the USSA. Yes. I was part of Navy Federal Credit Union. I was happy with that. 100%. Yes. Bruna says, you might be right about people begging for dictatorship, but I argue the Articles of Confederation were far superior to the Constitution and people were freer. You might be able to get away with that now. And I say that now because to be fair to the framers, now we have an environment, and we've had 200 years to create, 250 years to create some form of national identity. I'm not sure we had that back then. If you want to create a country, I know you don't care, but they did. And they wanted to create a nation, and they wanted to create that. I think you have to go Constitution. You can't do Confederation if your goal is to create a nation. And that was their goal. It might not be your goal, obviously, but their goal was to create a nation. I think you're going to have to. You got to go that route if you're going to go nation. So, yeah. But I get it. You could probably do it now. You probably could do it now. So, yes. All right. Let's see if I can go down here. 26. So I've gotten 3 ads in stream. YouTube better saying that. Oh, really? I don't know. The ads shouldn't be that shouldn't be that much at all, but I don't know why there's so many. I'm trying my best to keep going down here. So yeah, YouTube does send me cash for ads. It does. Not much, but it does. I try to make it when I put it in, I go to the lowest amount of ads I possibly can. Like there's a percentage you can do. I try to go low because I know if I go too much, it goes crazy. So I go low as I can. So I try. Yes. Notice says Native Americans lay down and die before complying with slavery. Yes, they were not good slaves at all. They were not. And that's why they went the other way. Yes, of course. Yep. So, all righty. Mike goes to Barna. The Articles of Confederation failed. Yep. Multiple currencies and conflicts of law, just not functional, but I haven't read them anytime soon. They might be able to work now, maybe, but I can't see it. I can't see it then at that time. At that time, it was the right thing. And Gracie's point here, Bill of Rights, yes. Bill of Rights, home run. Like, she's right. Bill of Rights, that's the thing. So, yeah, absolutely. So I do think that matters. So D says 3 ads for 2 hours is not bad. So that's not that bad. 3 ads in 2 hours? That's not bad. It's a 2-hour show. That shouldn't be bad at all. I try to make it the lowest amount. Whatever the lowest amount is, I put it the lowest one. So it should be as low as they can do it. So whatever that is, that's the issue. So I hope that's cool. So yeah. All right. John says the ads are annoying, but YouTube also crashes 3 times a show. Oh, that sucks. I didn't know that either. I'm just too super cool is what it is. So guys, I'm going to ask you something if I could. I'm going to ask you to please hit the like button. I'm going to ask you to share this if you haven't shared this already, and make sure you're subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. Some of you forget to click like. You don't care. It matters. I bug you not because I'm bored, because I'm trying my damnedest to give all this time and energy to a system that I hope will begin to work. That is my goal. I want that to work. Help me out if you can by clicking the like button and by subscribing. Please do so. If you can share this someplace, please share it. It does matter. If you can do it, please do so. Remember, after this is over, please comment after live. And here's what you should comment on. Do you like the idea of community capitalism versus democratic socialism? Do you like the idea of community capitalism? Is that a good idea or not? Do you like how it sounds or not? I don't mind either way. Please comment on one of those if you can. Remember, if this is not live when you watch it, remember, 2 videos are going to pop up. Please watch one of them right away. Just watch one for like 10 minutes right away. Whenever one pops up, click on it and just watch it for like 10 minutes. Put it on, do your thing so it's on. I will see you all very soon.